気が空に張り付いてら銀紙の星が揺れてら誰もがポケットの中に
And we're back. It's been a while.
So we are. We are back. It is rather incredible. And when you say a while, well...
A while can mean many things.
It can. I mean, yes, we've uploaded a few video essays in that time, but like...
And boy howdy were they good video essays. Like, the quality, just phenomenal. And I'm not even talking about mine, I'm talking about yours. You literally uploaded a video about hate content, and somehow it didn't get age restricted.
Because I'm that good at dodging the algorithm, I run a military history channel.
Now, if only you could do it so it didn't strike your own main channel.
Yeah.
Alright, it has been 8 months. We are sorry. It's mostly on me. I have had a hell of a fucking 8 months. It's been, yeah, I've moved. I finished my honors. I have mental illness. Pew, pew. You know, lots of fun things. Pax got YouTube. He's basically semi-famous. I have random people posting his links in Discords I'm in, and they're like, check out this cool military history guy. And I'm like, that's like one of my best friends. What are you talking about?
Fucking bizarre, isn't it? Just completely random. Like, all of my mates have had the same reaction. Like, you know, people who've known me as this, like, just random dude as part of their clan or just, like, hanging out, or my close friends like V here. It's just, you'll get random moments where they'll be out in public somewhere. Like, the worst at the university he goes to. Like, he'll have someone come up to him at his anime society or at his, you know, one of his military groups, and they'll post one of my videos. He's just like, oh, hey, I know the guy that made that. But yeah, YouTube has been very busy for me.
Yeah, and like, I think everyone in our audience is old enough to appreciate that we are adults and that I literally changed my career path in the last 6 months entirely. I think that is justification for me not quite being on top of it.
It's funny. I'm here with the history education, and I'm thinking about going back and going into like military like analysis and working for the government. If he gets his history education, and then what does he fucking do? He becomes a tradie instead.
And you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm having so much fun. I'm loving life. It's so much. It's so good.
And when you get your calls, you're going to get paid way more than I will.
Yeah, and also I don't have to worry about the age-old YouTube decline coming for me.
The YouTube decline, the algorithm, yeah.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, I think that's a fun little intro to an episode about Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, recorded it 8 months ago. We hope you enjoy it. We're going to do another intro after this, but that's us in the past. Completely different time period. I think we may have even been sick while recording. This is how long ago it is. You're going to have to find out for yourself right after the cut. We hope you enjoy.
Were we recovering from COVID? I think we might have been when we
I don't think I had COVID. I think it's when I had the super flu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I didn't get COVID till November last year. So that was like well after.
But also, you forget that you forgot it, so I'm going to mention it. After this episode of Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, we didn't know about it at the time, so we're going to say it here now. We are embarking on the Anime Roulette Summer of Sports.
We need to explain why. That's right. That's the most important thing. We've completely forgotten why it took us so long to do this. Right. Okay. So the anime that we rolled at the end of the Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry episode bored us to death. Literally bored us to death.
It was so bad I can't even remember what it was.
It was something May. Mahime.
Yeah.
Mahime.
Yeah, that's right.
Mahime, and it just wasn't flowing for us. We tried recording an episode where we trash talked what we'd watched of it and then just talked about things we wanted to. That didn't turn out great either. That's how badly it brought us down. So
yeah,
what we've decided, we are both lovers of sport. I love baseball and football. Pac loves football and football.
Football, and even more football.
He's a big football boy. And so what we've decided is, it's coming up on the season that Americans call summer. We call it summer too, of course, but you guys have it in the wrong time of the year. So what we're gonna do is the summer of sports.
The summer of sports.
See, there's a lot of sports anime out there.
We are going to be talking about them.
And we're going to be talking about them. I decided a while back, we decided that we were going to try and watch some things that we liked, blah, blah, blah. And so I got packed to watch Cross Game. No spoilers. Yep. We will discuss that in the episode as it comes. That will be the first episode of the Summer of Sports.
Yes, indeed. And the next one after this one.
Yes, the next one after this one. Yes, exactly. Some others that might come up. You feeling like Haikyuu?
Haikyuu will have to. I mean, it's been on my watch list forever. I've avoided getting into Haikyuu for the same reason I've avoided watching Fate, because I know once I do, there's no stopping. Because I remember the last time I watched a major long form sports shonen. The last time I watched a major long form sports shonen was Kuroko's Basketball, right? Or Kuroko no Basket.
That is a long time ago, because I remember when you watched that. I remember that you binged it.
All I know is I watched the first couple episodes, and the next thing I know, I was like all 5 seasons completed and watching the movie. Like, it was literally 3 weeks. I watched all of Kuroko in 3 weeks. Like, you gotta understand, I was a veteran weeb by that point. I think it's fair to say, Ivy, that both you and I, we started this whole project because we were suffering from anime fan burnout, and it's a common thing. The guys on Trash Taste have talked about it, if you don't believe us.
Plenty, weebs encounter it all the time. Speaking from a manga reader's expertise, we read too much. That's the problem. Like, compared to a time period where, you'd take one book and you'd read that book over a set period of time, and you couldn't afford to read another book unless you went to the library. You know, you wouldn't burn out like we do with media now. And we suffer burnout just like anyone else. And boy howdy, both of us have burned out from time to time.
It's weird, because, thinking about it, I checked my mail the other day, as I'm frequent to do. I had to add Suzume, great movie. I had to add Suzume to my mail, and I put it on there, and my anime list said, congratulations, Anamaki. I'm like, looked at it, and my stat sheet read that I had spent 60 straight days of my life. 60 days of my life in watching anime. I currently have 243 entries on my mail, and about 230 of those are completed. Like, the 9 I've dropped, the 9 or 10 I've dropped, will, absolutely trash it. It's like, Redo of Heroes 1, Eromanga Sensei, Do You Love Your Mama 2, Konbini Koreshi, fuck you, V, Girly Air Force.
We didn't even make it past one episode. You can't blame me for anything.
Umaru-chan.
There's lots of anime. Let's
I have
this is an intro to another episode. We need to try and keep this.
I'm gonna say this right now. I have to edit my list, because I actually finished. I went back after Gant's video and finished Domestic Girlfriend, so I have to complete that. So I've now officially spent more than 60 days of my life. Point is,
golf clap.
Yeah, and I looked at it, and I looked at my mail, and you know that moment where you were when you're an early anime fan and you just check the check mail, or you check recommendations, and you reach that point where all the top recommendations for you've already watched.
Oh god, yeah. It's why I love AniList recommendations. AniList recommendations is just so fresh a lot of the time. Sometimes you'll click on one, you'll be like, I've never seen this series before in my life. I've got to watch it.
But yeah, we've reached that plateau, and so now it's just you know what?
Look,
a genre. There's only one anime genre that can get you out of burnout, in my opinion.
sports anime.
Sports. It's the only one.
To give you an idea of some of the stuff we'll be watching some football anime. We're going to watch Giant Killing. We started watching that. Pac loves it. I love Giant Killing. What's not to love about Giant Killing? It's basically Blue Lock, but good.
Night in the Area.
Night in the Area, another classic. I don't want to hear any complaints. It's too good. We can't complain about it.
Haikyuu.
Hype Q. I might try and get Pac to watch the first 2 seasons of Free, so we can see our true Australian representation in anime.
Come on, like I'm a KyoAni stan. You know I've already seen Free. Come on,
that's a good point.
We can't. You know what we could do?
We could watch the rip-off Free, the one about volleyball. I mean, not volleyball.
Water polo.
Water polo. You never watched that one, did you?
No.
Remain actually has some really great moments and some not so great moments, but we've got a world open in front of us for sports.
You know, there's a problem because I'm looking at it. You know what okay. So for our summer of sports, we're gonna watch a bunch, and I think, honest to God, I think we should cover some of the more recent sports anime we've been watching. Birdie Wing technically doesn't count. You have to watch it. You have to watch
Damn
it.
it.
I'm telling you, dude.
Fine, I'll watch Birdie Wing.
I'm telling you, dude. Birdie Wing gets so good. Because I'm watching it this season. Because this is the final season of Birdie Wing. That probably this season, like its second season, is probably going to be its last. Like
second season, pushing it, probably it won't get a third
unless it goes like. Because I don't know, is it popular anyway? We
can't get distracted. We can't let them know that we are terribly unscripted when we record these episodes. So. To look forward to on this episode, Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry. Did we like it? Probably. Do we remember? Also, no. Sports coming up. Look forward to it. We will see you on the flip side in the episode that will come out whenever I finish editing this in the wake of the Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry episode. See you folks then. Enjoy the episode.
Yeah, enjoy it. Bye.
The year is 2015. It is the fall season of anime. Haikyuu is finding great acclaim for its second season, as is One Punch Man and Owari Monogatari and Noragami Arigato. And yet, an odd trend seems to be striking up in the midst of all this kino. At least 4 shows, all claiming to be battle harems, are airing at the same time, and all of them are pretty terrible. This is where we find ourselves today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. You want to know what's really crazy about this one? The Battle Harem show that we're going to talk about today, like, this show, like, you know how we were talking about recently, how I'm going to start calling it the Arifueto effect. I hate this. I genuinely do. Like, it shouldn't be good, but it is. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about another anime that released in 2015. Before we go into that. At the same time as this grand boom was happening, there was a 4-panel gag.
Actually, this is the same season. What?
The same season?
This is the same season.
We didn't even research this. What? Wow, okay.
What? Okay, can we just... Wow. Okay, the coincidence there is ridiculous. These are both fall 2015.
Yep, they are. And the full 2015 4-panel gag extravaganza, officially licensed by Crunchyroll, no less.
For some reason.
And Bilibili, like, the Chinese signed up on this. This is even crazier. Is what we're going to be talking about first. Fushigi na Somera-chan, or Magical Somera-chan. And not since Kill la Kill have I ever been left speechless by an anime. Kill la Kill is a work of art. It's a masterpiece of anime, and I will die on this hill. And many of our fellow Trigger fanboys, which we are, at least, you know, because ever since Promare, like, who isn't? Like, come on. Mwah. But this 4-panel gag manga translated into an anime.
For some reason.
I don't know why. Like,
okay, like, have you ever wondered what would happen if Nichijou had way too much MDMA and way too much LSD and way too much Colombian marching powder, shall we say? Every single narcotic you can ever think of, concentrated into a singular powder, and then snorted off the back of a stripper. Imagine Nichijou did that. And you'll be approaching the 4-panel gag anime which we watched, because I am confused. Ivy, are you confused?
I am confused about why...
Yeah, we're supposed to be a podcast, yet we are without words. I just...
It's hard because, like...
yeah. Right?
Okay.
What are we supposed to say? Like,
okay, so this is in very simple format. It's 3-minute episodes. It has 12 episodes. And over the course of it, absolutely no character development occurs, as is likely for 4-Koma. Like, let's be real, when we're talking about 4-Koma, there's usually a very little character development. Progress is very slow. And here, the episodes are 3 minutes long, so there's no room for character growth. It is just, like, weird meta humor mixed with, like, deranged, like, violence and low-budget humor, right?
yeah, and fourth wall breaking, and, like, it... I'll be real with you. When we last got a 4-Koma, like, we got Fudanshi, and that was funny as shit. Like, that was very gay and hilarious.
That was fun. And, like, this is different, because, like, this got some laughs out of me, but I don't think it was nearly as interesting as the other one.
I will say that there were a couple of moments in this anime. This anime is... I'm pretty sure when they were making it, they were on a considerable amount of drugs. Because I swear...
The one person on Japan who can actually get access to LSD.
Yeah, the coherency of this anime
Zero.
declined. It declined as it was going on. Right? The first couple of episodes, especially the one with the alien. Like the UFOs landing in the garden, right? Yeah. Like, that was, like, funny. I was dying the first couple episodes. They're like, we need a new character. Could you please bunch up so the animators don't have to animate you all? Please?
You don't look like... anything like your silhouette.
And then when the new girl dies at the end of the UFO episode, she's like, please have Kyoto Animation animate my life story. Right? Like, you know, and that's really funny. And I was, like, having fun. And then there's also random spontaneous violence and murder, and things explode. There's rude words, there's memes, there's sexual innuendo. It's all going off, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then it just goes downhill into this weird dead zone, this weird...
Yeah, it's like...
I don't know.
It's not... Like, there's, like, moments of humor, and it sets up, like, jokes that you'll think will land, and then they don't land.
Yeah. Also, apologize if we sound a bit like crap and you may hear like us drinking a lot, because I am recovering from the Great Plague! The plague that has drowned out the sorrows and taken the harp of death to millions across the world. Yeah, no, the Rona.
Look, that's just the sort of headspace we're in today. This is going to be a bit of a weird one.
This is going to be this episode is going to be as trippy as this 4-panel, because I swear to God, like, this is our review. What?
Like, and like, I should emphasize here that there is trippy in an interesting way, and there's trippy in a bad way, and I'd classify this as trippy in a bad way, right?
Yeah, this isn't one of those art house anime films from the late 90s, which are like really out there. This isn't Serial Experiments Lane, right? This isn't even like, you know, like Chainsaw Man or Kill la Kill.
Like, where it's out there and it's weird, but it's not interesting in how it does it. Like, when Chainsaw Man does weird shit and it makes sense in context, it's very rewarding because it feels like an aspect of this world. This feels like someone said, what if we had a Magic Girl anime, sort of, and also there was weird shit going on. Like, that's it.
And
right?
it's a 4-panel gag manga, so every single episode is just set up for one joke.
Disconnected, yeah, exactly.
Although we did get a really, really good screenshot, which I will put up in the middle. Random homophobia.
Just a very, very odd outburst of homophobia just in the middle of one of the episodes, and we were just like, what the fuck? And weird, because it's weird because like Japanese homophobia usually takes a really specific form. And this was just like, no, homophobia, like being gay is wrong. And I was just like, whoa, okay.
Which is really straight up, like it was said as a joke and obviously in the absurdism of it. But at the same time, it was pretty overt.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't, even as a joke, you wouldn't get away with saying that on mainstream media here. You'd get crucified.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you were lampooning the act of hating homosexuals yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So...
And that doesn't really feel like what was going on here. Or,
no, it was.
It just felt like they were like, haha, gay people funny, and that was it. And being gay is wrong.
I mean, I don't know what was happening there, but I will say one thing: of all the genres to be in for homophobia, like magical girls are like one of the strongest pro-LGBT spaces in the anime world. Like Sailor Moon was like came out in the 90s and was like one of the first anime to air in the West that had explicitly gay characters.
So they had to take them away.
Yeah, 4 kids had to rewrite
confiscated your gay characters.
So to have homophobia in a magical girl show, even in a comedic sense,
even compared to like, you know, some of the other like major like fuck, my brain is so fried. Oh god, what's the most famous magical girl show of all time? Oh, Madoka. Why could I was struggling to remember Madoka. That's the sort of state I'm in. Madoka, like Madoka is so gay, right? And yeah, for this is like the heterosexual equivalent, I guess.
Yeah, but we really don't have much to elaborate. Like the animation,
there's literally nothing else to talk about here. That like there is bare minimum animation. There's a running gag about a like weird alpaca looking animal that just doesn't really have a whole lot of reference apart from the fact that like it tries to bite the girl's arm off at one point.
It's just a meme. It's just an ongoing meme.
Yeah, it's just literally a meme. That's what this feels like. This feels like something that somebody on like TikTok would make as like a running joke. Like, yeah, it feels more like something I'd get from like a shitposting account on YouTube than like a coherent thing. And
not even that. This is like the drill Twitter shitpost. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just like random off the wall shit for like a bunch of episodes in a run. You're just left like, okay, but not in like the Inferno Cop thing where there's any sort of coherency or like through line on it.
Yeah. You know, it really is like the only way that this would sort of be funny and work is like, yeah, it is the shitpost. It is a shitpost. This anime is a shitpost.
Yep.
And the thing is, it is not a good shitpost. It's a B tier shitpost. Like,
yeah,
I won't call it a C tier because it genuinely did get laughs and it has some funny moments. But it is just a shitpost. And the best shitpost in this is the fact that every episode has a full length opening.
Yeah, not like obviously not full length as in like a minute and a half, but it's like 20 to 30 seconds long, and still that is way too much. Like,
there's a way too long. Like the cutaways in Nichijou are just a snap cutaway and then next gag, right? In short, if you have an hour to kill and
not even an hour, literally like 15 minutes.
Like if you're really desperate, like yeah,
36 minutes, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, like half an hour.
Yeah, half an hour.
Like half an hour. If you've got half an hour to kill and you just want to laugh, like yeah, I guess. But if you're that desperate for a laugh, go watch Nichijou.
Yeah, like look, if you want something to make you laugh, there are better things out there that can do it in a much less boring way.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, if you want to laugh, you watch something like we would watch this season, for example, like Kaguya. If you want to,
I mean, like Kaguya, like Nichijou, like just anything else
No, but like, I mean, Kaguya is for the rom-coms. You've got layered comedies. I mean, shonen, like Gintama, for example. I haven't seen
Yes.
Gintama, but you know, it's just the
Gintama is based. I would
layered
say.
comedies. If you're looking for that pure slapstick energy that this anime brings, put this down and go watch fucking Nichijou. It's
Well,
just
yeah, there's like better slapstick anime comedy
there's
out there as
way better.
well.
Or even better, an anime that did this exact style way before this anime came out. Goddamn Azumanga Daioh.
Yeah,
You can go watch
Azumanga
Azumanga
Daioh.
Daioh.
If you want one with a bit more like weird, like that's a bit more in the eccentric world, you go for something like Aho Girl. Yeah, that's the general gist of it. There's not much else to say because, yeah, 36 minutes of material is not a whole lot to work on. Imagine if we had to watch one episode and talk about that every single podcast. That's what we have to do whenever we get these short ones. We have to try and figure out a way to talk about, like, literally 30 minutes of material.
Yep, putting it in my mail, quickly to get it over with, putting it in my mail, completed.
We're live posting us putting it in our...
Yeah, I'm putting it in my mail, completed. Score is a 5. Like, and you gotta understand, that's a low rating for me. 5 on mail is literally average. Like, it's a thing. I didn't hate it. It was funny in some parts, and it doesn't offend me. It's just, you could go watch something way better. Like, so just... Are you even gonna rate it, Ivy? Or are you just gonna be like, nope?
I'm just thinking. Completed. I'll give the story a 30 because there wasn't exactly much of it. The characters were cutouts, 35, 34. Visuals, bottom of the barrel, 41. And enjoyment, 37. That's an average rating of 35. I think that's a pretty good rank for it, about as good as it's going to get for it.
I say we vote in mail terms for you. That would be around down. So that's a 3 from Ivy and a 5 from me. Don't bother. Go watch Nichijou. Way better.
Yeah, there's a million and one. I mean, like, there's even better 4-panel. If you want to watch another 4-panel series, watch fucking Gekken Shoujo, man. Like,
or even Fudanshi, the one we've already watched.
Yeah, go watch that. That was better than this. And it actually felt more enjoyable to watch. Like we just sort of sitting here quietly watching it. It didn't really like.
Yeah, and confused. The most uttered phrase through our entire watch through was "What
the fuck?"
Yeah, literally that. Like
just over and over was just like the episode would end and we're just like, "What the fuck?"
It would just be silence, and then it was like, "What the fuck?"
What the fuck?
I don't know, but yes. Or that's our review of that. Although, to keep in keeping with the meme of the day, you could always say with me now, touch grass.
It's one of those kinds of days, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about the actual good show that we're going to talk
about something interesting. Well, sort of.
Not interesting, fun. Interesting's going a bit far, I think. Psycho Pass is interesting. This is not interesting. This is just fun. Although it's 162. It's 162 on Mal. Like, what? How is this show this high? I don't understand how this show is this high. Actually, no, I do.
Well,
the waifu game in this show is...
Wait,
top tip.
Hold on. It was the 181st most popular of all time on Annie list, and the 51 highest rated of 2015. Now, if I'm not delusional, for some reason, I can't tell you why, the stats are bugged out on Somera-chan, which despite being lower in popularity and in quality, is the 20 highest rated and the 24th most popular of 2015.
Which is bizarre.
Weird stuff going on there, because the best anime of 20... Oh, right, okay, so because it's classified as a TV short on Annie list, it has its own set of rankings. So it's ranked against other shorts from that year.
Alright.
That explains it.
But yeah, fuck all that. Let's talk about the good show.
The good show.
Rakudai
Kishi no Cavalry.
Chivalry of a Failed Knight. The story In an alternate Earth, humans called Blazers have supernatural abilities. These Blazers can materialize weapons known as a device. Man, this is giving me flashbacks to Valkyrie Drive, which are made through a person's soul. At Hagen Academy, or Hagen Gakuen, Blazers are selected as representatives for the 7-Star Sword Art Festival, an annual tournament event held by the 7 Mage Knight Academies in Japan to determine the strongest apprentice knight to become Mage Knights. So Blazers become knights if they're good guys or criminals if they're bad guys, right? Hagen's performance ranking in the festival is falling, and the Academy's director, Kurano Shinguji, is determined to find a solution to the problem. Iki Kuragane, the main character, protag, is the Academy's F-rank Blazer and is considered the worst one for his low magical abilities. He has no raw talent at all. But Stella Vermilion, their exchange student, their transfer student, the princess of the European country Vermilion, is one of the top A Blazers, so she's one of the best in the world with raw talent. They meet each other, get into an argument, and are forced to share a room with each other, the protag and the main love interest, Stella here. And it leads to one of the funniest scenes in anime, which we'll get to in a moment.
So at this point, I'm going to get Pac-Man to flick up something on screen. Basically, this came out at the same time as the well-known other series, Astra Squall. Which the first episode for both of these shows is exactly the same, bar a few bits of gags and lore. I rewatched the first episode of Gakusen Toshi to remind myself, and I was like, I can see how temporarily I was tricked into thinking that Asterisk Squall might have been the better series. But just because there's a lot more going on in the first episode, but no. Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry exists in this, as I mentioned at the start of the episode, weird space where a bunch of fucking battle-heavy series, which also were heavily focused on like a harem aspect, were all airing at the exact same time. So you had, Astra Squall, you had Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, you also had that stupid stepsister one, Shinmai Mao Testament, and my personal heartbreaker, Taimado Gakuen 35 Shiken Shotai, or aka the Anti-Magic Academy, which Silverlink, same studio that did Rakudai, fucked up and did a really shitty job of.
Yep.
There was also Silverlink did shitloads of stuff that season. They also did Showman Sample, which was also a harem. That one was also garbage.
Man, Silverlink really, say what you will about Silverlink, though, their waifu game is on point. Like, the waifus are the one thing they do.
The fact that you said that right as I was about to say that I hate that show, because it was like, what if we had a lolly walk around in underwear all the time? And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Like, we think it's disgusting. But, nevertheless, Silverlink know their customer base. They know what they're doing. And their waifu game, especially in this show, the waifus in this show, just, yes.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're so highly rated and why they appear in waifu compilations on YouTube everywhere.
And the fact is, this show actually has made one impact that's quite interesting. Is that to this day, it still shows up in anime mix MVs. Like, where people blend different animes together to make a single coherent AMV. This show still shows up because of its fight scenes. Because, against all odds, the fight scenes here are a lot of fun.
And that's the big thing. So, I've gone through the basis of the plot. But TLDR, the story is, there's a whole bunch of waifus going to a magic school where everyone is becoming knights. And the male lead is the shittiest, except in one regard. He is the best swordsman.
Yep.
And his abilities are his magical power is really weak, but he has learned to customize his limited magic power to attribute to his sword skills, which means that using what little magic power he has, he's used it to enhance his sword skills, which are the best in the world practically. and so he's overpowered as fuck. It's just that when people scan him and rank him, he shows up low. He is the ultimate dark horse. Like, he uses his limited magic power to buff his sword skills, and his sword skills are god tier. So even though everyone seems to think that he's shit, he's actually insanely good. So, that's the plot. How he's gonna redeem his honor and become a proper knight by climbing to the top of the academy. And to do this, he has to defeat all of his friends and waifus in the show, and ascend to the top. But that's really not the story at all when it comes to it. That's just the backdrop.
That's just the backdrop.
The story is the romance plot. And it is...
Boy howdy, when you watch as much anime as we do, or as most people who like anime do, you know the pains of romance in anime. You know the pain of having to wait 10s, 20s, hundreds of chapters, episodes, for anything to play out in the romance department.
Well, what are we at now? So, Chivalry is only just coming around to the romance side at chapter 231.
Yes, 231, I think, is the
and
most
like
recent one.
What? Dress Up Darlings manga is like chapter 180.
No, Dress Up Darlings like 80. I want to say chapter 80.
I'm not a manga reader, but I do know that Sonobisque has been going on for like ages and ages, and
nothing is happening.
Still, like, the first season of the show has basically covered the good bits.
74 chapters, and basically it since about chapter, I want to say 30, literally no progress. It's ridiculous. And keep in mind, it's bi-weekly, so that's every 2 weeks. And then just like every 2 weeks, nothing happens, and you're just like, oh, okay.
And obviously the reason for that is the publishing company has told the author they want to make this a really good long-running show, and so they want him to drag it out to keep selling more manga.
But like even then, I've read like things which drag stuff out and make them way longer than they have to be, that have had at least something going on in between. Right now in Sonobisque, there's just nothing.
It's just slice of life fluff with Gojo and Marin, and that's basically it. But getting back on topic, we have this show, which is literally, it sells itself as a battle show, and he's got to fight to the top and win the tournament to graduate as a knight, and everyone will be happy, etc. That's not the plot at all. That's just the background. That's just the justification for him being in the story. The actual reason is the romance between the two main characters. And as Ivy was getting at, it's a romance that actually happens, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed. It takes approximately 4 episodes for the two main characters, who, by the way, yes, it basically flagged from the start that these two will be the inevitable endgame. However, I remember at the time watching it, and because social media hadn't quite reached its, like, zenith that it has now, I didn't have any idea what I was getting into when I downloaded the episode. And I was a 4chan A shit poster. You know, I loved my fucking posting on there. And I did not until I'd watched the episode, and then I went on there and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Like, like, are you serious? We actually had progress, like romantic development in a fucking harem. A seeming harem series, I will say. Seeming.
And not only that, what's really good about it is that awkward moment when a harem battle series has more believable teenage romance and its problems than 90% of romance animes out there.
Okay, so we should take a temporary sidebar on this thought. Keep in mind, we'll get to that a bit later, but there is some things in this that are absolutely not believable as teenagers because of
Oh no, 100%, right?
Yes.
But I
do agree with you that for them, like the awkwardness of like not being able to, you know, when they start dating, they sort of struggle to like communicate the fact that both of them wish they were doing stuff together. Like they wish they were kissing or holding hands more. You know, instead of just like pissing around, they like talk it out and they sort the problem out. And, you know, it's the sort of things that teenagers do struggle with, you know. Teenagers don't want to talk about the fact that they're, because they don't want to, like, be outed as being the one who was thinking about it while the other one was in, like, head empty state, right?
Yeah, and not only that, like, their first fight is really great because it's a moment I think a lot of us have had in our relationships, like, at least our earlier ones when we were younger, where we are getting mad at the other person and yelling about it and realize that we're saying the exact same thing back to one another, and they're like, hang on, why are we fighting then?
I don't know.
How many, like, everyone, like, raise their hand. I'm raising my hand. You raising your hand, Ivy?
Yeah, consider my hand spiritually raised.
Yeah, like, it's just this moment where you're like, why are we fighting? I don't know. We're angry about the same thing. Yes. Should we fix it? Yeah, probably. But yeah, let's talk about the characters and do them in the order on the wiki page just to be a bit more organized. So you got the two people who are in this romance, the protag. I guess they're both protags. But main character, Iki Kuragane, the worst one, exiled from his family for being shit with no talent.
Incredible character nickname.
Yeah. He's exiled from his family for having no talent, who are all legendary blazers and heroes, obviously, because of course they are. It's a shonen anime with family problems, so of course his ancestors are incredible and he's shit. So he's been exiled, but he is forced to learn his craft himself without help from his family due to his low magic, and that in turn, of course, makes him, like Soma from Food Wars, completely fucking overpowered because he's, you know, learned it all out on the streets and learned it himself, and now he's coming into this school and just starts kicking people's ass. He uses his magic to do blade steel, where he can analyze and copy someone's maneuvers and abilities and then counter them perfectly. And then later on, he develops a more powerful version, which is perfect vision, which allows him to analyze the whole place and be awesome. But because his magic power is so low, he can only do it once a day, which means he has to survive long enough to work out throughout the battle what his opponent's strategies and powers are, which is where his excellent sword skills come in, right? And he's, apart from that, he is your stand-up shonen protag. He's a good dude, really honorable, wants to do the right thing, sticks up for his friends, generally wholesome dude. This dude is irritatingly wholesome. He is an excellent man.
See, this is the classic Pack Ivy split where Pete will describe him as like overly insufferably wholesome, and I will in turn describe him as a blank sheet. He doesn't have a whole lot going on as a character.
Yeah.
His aspirations are, you know, as we've mentioned, fairly generic, but I do quite like Iki. I think he's a fun character, in contrast with a lot of his harem kin who are
like,
they're there.
For example, like if you put Iki up against the shitbag from DxD, right?
Whose name I can't even remember.
I can't even remember his name. Like, I think it might. I think it might even be Ishii.
My name recognition for High School DxD is so bad that I don't even remember what his face looks like. I just remember him like a hentai protagonist.
He's generic.
I remember him like a hentai protagonist with no face. Issei is his name.
Issei, yeah, that's right. Issei is the guy, and I don't really understand. Like, he is just like the most generic dude. And Iki kind of gives off that vibe, but he's just a lot better.
It's just because there's, I think Iki benefits from the fact that stuff actually progresses in this story, right? Like, if nothing progressed in this story, Iki would just be as infuriatingly boring as any other, like, harem protag. But because the story itself does continue to, like, glide along, he feels more interesting. Also, because his, like, family drama and the way he deals with it does end up becoming quite, like, a really interesting defining moment near the end of the show.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'll also put him down, like... Actually, when I think of, like, character, what he's like, yeah... He just does benefit from the development.
He does benefit from the development. The other thing is that he benefits from the fact that everyone in his life is very like take charge. Like Stella confesses to him in front of the entire school.
Yeah.
And so he's okay with that, right?
Yeah.
So he goes along with it. You know, they start going out because of that. A lot of like, it's not him taking the lead a whole lot. Like most, and this, I guess this is part of like the whole, I guess this is becoming more of a show about where we sort of delve into the depths of what makes a like self-insert protag. But like, what makes it work, I guess, in this sense, is that it makes him appeal, because a lot of people don't want to feel like they're the reason that they're not, you know, their life is shit. They want to think that it's like that people haven't made the step with them.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would go there, but I would say that the thing with Iki, I think that actually, it's a good thing you mentioned this, because I think it actually points out why I think he's actually a better character, is that for the first time in one of these harem shows, Iki does not feel like a self-insert. I didn't feel like, for example, I didn't feel like he was Kirito. I didn't feel like I was...
He was like an everyman.
I didn't feel like I was supposed to identify with him.
Yeah.
He had his own backstory. He has his own problems. He has everything going on for him. He didn't strike me as a self-insert. He struck me as his own character who just happened to be surrounded by a bunch of drop-dead gorgeous waifus. Now, the main heroine of the series...
Stella Vermilion.
Is... All I'm going to say is, when you open up the 2038 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, when it has started developing and adding in words and definitions and things from subcultures. So the 2038 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, when you find the entry for tsundere, you will have a picture. She is the most aggressive tsundere.
Yeah, it's
of
like
any show.
She's like a very strong tsundere archetype, while also being the only one willing to actually do shit to get what she wants,
which is incredible, and I love it. Which is, I think, it's why she's so popular and so good. But I think the best interaction is summed up by Iki and Stella's first interaction.
Yes,
because
we've been tiptoeing around it. We need to get into it. So,
Iki...
you've watched a harem series. You have seen the protag walk in, usually on first girl, usually on main girl, and he's gone, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and then has been slapped, yelled at, blah blah blah, right? Iki is cut from a different cloth, you see. Iki proceeds to start stripping off his shirt. While saying, "Please don't yell, I'll make it equal. I'll take mine off as well. That way we've both seen each other naked, and we can call it even."
Now, I think this nominates him. Like, he's not Izumi from O Maidens in the Savage Season level of Chad, but he's getting up there. Like, he is up there from that maneuver. It doesn't save him. Stella kicks his ass anyway. But it was just funny that was his first go-to. Like, he walks on her in her underwear, and like...
Also, fucking ecchi anime and their choices of, like... She's just on the reg. Like, she's just regular, like, day-to-day dress, and she's wearing, like, full-blown lingerie. Come on, man. Come on.
No woman
that shit
I
is
know.
Not comfortable, bro.
No woman I know would ever... The only instance of that I know of ever happening was one of my former girlfriends, and that was only because the underwear that came with the lingerie were ridiculously high quality fabric, and so they were comfortable. She would wear a normal sports bra because it was more comfortable, but she would wear the lingerie underwear because it was made of like high quality silk, and it was just nicer.
Yeah,
like I don't understand how an anime can like get us to believe that this woman is wearing like a $200 like honey bidet, like lace ensemble, like they're like
just
no!
on the reg. She's just like wearing that. Like what? No.
She's also a princess. Like, what would happen if someone saw her like like this? Like, but yeah, Stella is the star of it.
Fun character. She's like
the
this show definitely wouldn't be as fun without Stella's sort of presence in it.
What I find great about her though is like, well, first her character bio. She's a princess. She's the most talented sword and fire user. Like, you know, she's got the most magic power of raw talent and the most sword skills of raw talent that you can get. And she's royalty, so she's had them trained. She is the best in the world, and she's here on exchange to show these lovely little quaint Japanese colonials how real European swordsmen do it, you know? That's why she's been sent by the Emperor, no less, you know? Everything like that. She shows up, and after this quarrel with Iki for being forced to be his roommate, right? She and him are forced to fight it out in a duel to determine who's in charge in the dorm, or even if they're in a dorm at all. Spoiler, as of course, Iki wins. But like a quality tsundere, after Iki wins, there is the conclusion that he was strong enough to beat me. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, if he's strong enough to beat me, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man.
Now, it should be important to remember this is not how it works in real life.
No, should not. Defeating a woman in a duel does not mean she will fall in love with you. Okay?
Stop challenging random women to duels. They don't appreciate it.
Like, to be fair, if a girl walked up to me and smacked me with a white glove and said, I challenge you to a duel, I would be like, hell yes. And then I'd get a pack of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And then I'd suddenly be confused as to why she's got a sword. Then I will immediately lose, because no woman who challenges you to a sword duel challenges you to a sword duel without knowing how to use said sword. And I will immediately die. Pistols, maybe
will you die happy? But will you die happy?
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are the two main characters. Their relationship throughout the show is romantic, and it's excellent, and
it is quite good. It's quite nice.
It has a lot of development. Like, there are moments where they fight, there are moments where they misunderstand, there are moments where they want to develop their relationship and they're not sure how to word it. There's lots of cute moments. They go on dates. It's great.
And also, the author seems to have forgotten that this isn't a harem series anymore, so he keeps introducing girls who would normally be in the harem.
Yeah, they try to be. The girls try to be in the harem, but they get closed out because Homie's a good guy and Stella is terrifying. Also, Stella's ecchi scenes are
ridiculous
and glorious. They are some of the best ecchi scenes I've seen in anime, and I don't say that lightly because I've seen a lot of ecchi, as you all know.
Yes, because you have all made us watch so much ecchi.
And brilliant. It's just brilliant. I do love Stella as a character, her relationships with both Main Boy and with Main Boy's little sister, who we'll talk about in a second. Like, Stella's just a good character, and they have a promise that they will fight in the final battle of the Seven Stars tournament, where they will finally settle once and for all who the greatest knight is, right? Which we didn't get a season 2, so we'll never see. But it was
the manga continued though, so there's always
that. Go read the manga.
Go read the light novel. No, you can't, because the fucking sorry. So just a quick story for those out of the loop. Basically, the team who did the light novel for Rakudai Kishi went defunct after a couple of volumes, so there is only up to, like, I think volume 5 translated into English in officials, and then after that I think you've got to rely on fans translations. I'm not sure how far the fan trans go though.
Yep. Yeah, but the manga's up to date. The manga's complete.
Well, the manga is something. The manga is something. The art is a bit different to the anime, and it's I don't remember. I know that the novel ended. The novel is ongoing still. The manga ended at some point. But I don't know where it ended, like, in terms of the actual story itself.
Yeah, but
I know that it passed the anime though. That much is true.
But Stella has a lot of edgy scenes, and she's She's really, really cute. She does a lot of cute stuff. And then eventually, of course, naturally, the show goes completely all in on their relationship. They get ready to do the deed, as it were, but Homie puts it off because he's like, no, I'm going to be a decent man. And what I love about Stella is she is really, really good as a tsundere, because instead of going, no, like, no, she wants this man to bone her.
Look, and
she really
also,
does.
most importantly is that, like, Stella is a tsundere in the, like, more classical sense of the term, as in, over the course of the show, like, when they meet, it's the typical tsundere stuff, like, hitting, yelling, I hate him, that kind of stuff, right? Although she very quickly admits that she's got feelings to him, even to herself. She has the little side dialogues where she's like, not that I'd mind, sort of thing. And she evolves into being more dere as time goes on, which is good. I love it when the tsundere drops the sun after a while, because it doesn't make sense for a sun to be sun after they've been dating for years.
Correct.
Or dating for any length of time,
And that's what's good. Like, their relationship takes steps, and he's the one who says, look, I really do want to get this going. Like, I would love to. Like, they end up in a cabin in the woods situation, and they're both hot and ready to go. She's like, you're standing at attention, buddy. Like, do you want to? Like, and there's this whole exchange, and he's like, no, I'm going to be the bigger man. If I took advantage of you now, it would demean everything. I want to say in front of everyone that I love you, and I want us to be together. And so they get engaged at the end of the anime. They straight up get engaged. And like, the Emperor's like, yo, okay, I don't approve of this commoner, and his family's disowned him, but I'll do anything to make sure my daughter's happy because I'm a good parent. Iki's dad is not the same.
Iki's dad is not a good parent.
Iki doesn't give a shit about his son. Iki's dad does not give a shit about his son. Doesn't care about him.
Is a dick.
He's a fucking asshole. That's a whole plot. Like, I feel like we wouldn't get much from explaining the plot to you, because the plot basically is...
Look, the plots are they fight some people and there's some cool fights, and also there's Senpai and she's the best.
Yeah.
Both the Senpai characters are the best, I will say. It's an even split on the Senpais for me.
I would say the one that we were talking about so much is the clear winner there, but let's move on.
So moving on, we've got it. We can't move on to characters talk without talking quickly about Shizuku, and we are, man. I forget this episode to be a bit longer. So Shizuku, Kuragane's sister, they are slightly estranged due to the fact that
Iki was kicked out of the family.
Iki was effectively kicked out of his family house and has like been sort of persona non grata since that point. His sister has taken it upon herself to love him in the way that his family has not given him love, which would be wholesome if not for the fact that the first time we see her, she shoves her tongue down his throat.
Yep, like, it is your traditional...
It's a fucking brocon.
It's a brocon. It's your traditional harem brother. Like, I wanna, like...
Which is even foreshadowed by Stella.
Stella asks him, is she blood related or is she a stepsister?
You're not gonna say something like she's not blood related, are you? And Iki's like, what? No, she's my full-blooded sister, which makes the tongue scene even worse.
Oh, dude, like, it's uncomfortable. And like, yeah, look, Shizuku, you know what she is? She is a brocon, siscon, fantasy harem character. Like, you've all seen this before. She wants to get... She's mad at her family for disowning her brother, but she loves her brother so much because she feels like he's really, really good at what he does, and that her family has disowned him incorrectly, and that this is all bullshit. And she's also
a child, so she doesn't have a lot of say in the matter.
Yeah, and she wants to love him the only way that someone like her can, and
which would make sense if it was just giving him a hug and being like, "Fuck those guys." But
no, she wants
to do all the romance,
and so she hates the fact that when she finally gets there,
Stella has already sort of taken that place.
Yeah, and she's mad, and so there's a very ongoing dialogue between the two, and bickering and fights, and It's one of the ongoing gags.
Typical harem girl against harem girl sort of activity.
Yeah, the fun thing I do like about this show, Rakudai no Kishi Cavalry, is that I do love the fact that it does occasionally break the fourth wall every now and then.
Coming off of the previous one, which was like hyper meta and it wasn't very fun about it, this one does it in a fun way.
Yeah, like you're not gonna say she's a stepsister, are you? Like, even though that was back in 2015, like there are moments. There's another moment where Shizuku and another character, best girl, actually
Alice, the trans
second best girl after like senpai, like student council president, shows up, but she's like one of the last people we'll talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But Shizuku and second best girl Alice, the trans woman, show up at the end of an episode that was very heavy on plot between Stella and another character, and Iki. They went off on their own adventure and had a big fight and did the whole episode. And then Alice and Shizuku show up at the end of the episode and are like, hey, we weren't in this one very much. You know what I mean? like they're breaking the fourth wall and they're being meta about it, but they're being meta about it in the good way.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not overbearing. It's not.
I will always, I don't mind a bit of meta commentary or like meta humor. I mean, I have literally just come off writing a massive review of the Fujimoto one-shot, Goodbye Eri, which is a masterful work of meta commentary. Now, the important thing to mention here is there's a difference between meta commentary, that is commentating on things in the like external, and something that's like, haha, isn't this funny? Wouldn't it be funny if we did this thing that happens in this genre all the time? Right? Like, being like, just typical fourth wall pushes and stuff are very played out, I feel, at this point. Like, I think we're all pretty burned out on them as an audience.
Yep. In which case, let's talk about second best girl.
Second best girl. Well, your second best girl. Alice, sorry.
Well, Arisin, Nagi Arisin.
Mm-hmm. Or as she prefers to be known, Alice.
Alice, yeah. So, quote, his given name is Nagi Arisin, but her name is Alice. And she is money. She is one of the best characters in this show.
Which, by the way, is very funny because I know like 3 trans women called Alice.
Yeah. What's really funny about it, too, is that, again, we're in a harem series. A battle harem shonen series. And yet, this is gonna be one of the best depictions of a trans person in anime. Like, one of the best. Like, in all the places, like, everyone's like, oh, it's Alice. You're a dude, right? No, well, yeah, physically, but I'm actually a woman inside, so that's how we're going with it.
And everyone's like, oh, okay.
All right, cool. So they use
she, takes them a
her pronoun.
Yeah.
They use her pronouns. They call her by her actual name, not her dead name. They treat her like a woman the whole time. The only difference is, because of Japanese transphobic law,
there's a scene where Iki and Alice end up in the same bathroom,
and we were both commenting on that, like, that's fucked. But Alice's biggest trait.
Don't Google what Japan does to trans people, because oh boy,
we'll be on our soapbox for a
anyway.
Do that.
Let's continue. So Alice, good character, interesting character.
I will say with her though. Alice's greatest thing is she is the wise woman out of the whole, like, of all the characters in this show, except maybe the principal, she is the wisest. She is always the person that the characters go to for advice or for help.
Especially for information about stuff going on at the school or...
Also, Alice is best friends with the reporter, and that's funny, because they bond over gossip. It's hilarious. But she also has the greatest distinction, the most important distinction in any show. Like all of our people in the gay community and the LGBT community at large, her fit, on point.
Outfits, fucking fire.
She is the best dressed out of everyone in this show. Like, long coats.
Considering her competition is princess clothes and gothic, sort of, like, mild, like, old-fashioned... I was about to say Gothic Lolita, and then I realized that that's not really true. But it's
And
the
even
old-fashioned...
like, you've got all these really hot school uniforms. You've got all these other like different things, and then there's Alice who just walks in like she is poise, she is grace. She'll punch a Nazi in the face. Right? She walks in, and like her hats. She has like 3 hats throughout the show. Just like, guys, can we normalize hats again, please? Like, please.
The ongoing saga of Pac-Man wanting to normalize hats and capes.
Because they're just brilliant. Anyway, I'll fanboy over Alice too much. So let's move to the swordswoman, Ayase Ayatsuji, who is a character that is introduced halfway through the show.
And she takes up a pretty sizable portion of the show too.
Yeah, she's an entire arc. She basically has her dojo taken off her. She's the daughter of Iki's inspiration.
A legendary samurai. The last samurai, basically.
The last samurai, not Tom Cruise, this dude. Right.
He's actually Japanese, so...
Yeah. Kaito Ayatsuji, right? And he is Iki's inspiration. Iki learned his sword skills and became an expert swordsman by learning about and mastering Kaito Ayatsuji's moves. And he is his inspiration, right? He gets defeated by a group of hoodlums and a swordsman who's an evil swordsman, like a gangster swordsman who has a snake sword, which is really cool. Anyway,
that snake sword. This show really stretches the definition of what a fucking sword is.
Yeah, because it's a sword, it's a flail, it's a whip, it's a spear, like it's whatever it needs to be. And
There's
he also has
a guy with a gun.
Yeah, and he has like superpowers basically, which means he can use 50. He's like got, in an RPG sense, he's got like 50 extra action points than everybody else, and he's like really OP. So he defeats Iki's inspiration, Kaito Ayatsuji, the last samurai,
and kills him in the process.
And well, cripples him and puts him into a coma.
Yeah.
And his granddaughter, which is Ayase.
But for story purposes, let's be real, it's just
he's big dead. Okay. But Ayase wants to get her dojo back, because losing the dojo was part of the agreement in the duel between Kaito and the big dude. And so after being defeated, she gets kicked out of her home and her dojo, and her family's honor is on the line. So she starts cheating and being a bad person to try and get any advantage to get her position back. But she is no match for our pro tag, who defeats her, and so takes her on as his disciple and trains her and teaches her how to use her family moves better. And then Iki goes and fights the big bad to get her dojo back. And after that, she becomes one of the harem.
Except not really. She just fucks off.
Except not really. Because she can't compete with Stella and she doesn't want to try. But she's... And
also because she gets suspended from school.
Yeah, because she cheated in the tournament. Yeah.
She cheats against Iki. But Iki refuses to quit because he doesn't want her to get shamed in public.
It's a big mess. But the point is, after
it's a really nice subplot.
I really like it.
Although there's a really odd, and this is just like it's a little bit cultural. It's a little bit like of a thing. But can we just talk about quickly just about the weird sort of sense of women can't understand that like sometimes you can have fun fighting. The thing where like his daughter, who has been involved in warrior culture her whole life, didn't pick this up, that he was having fun during this last fight.
I mean, yeah, that's what really weirds me out, because it's a common thing amongst warriors of all time periods, no matter what role they're in. Like, even soldiers today, if you talk to trained soldiers, you know, people who volunteered, if you ask them what they really want to be doing more than anything else, they'll say they want to be deployed. Why? Because it's what they trained for. It's their job. It's what they were born to do in their mind, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, when they finally get fulfilled in their purpose and they're fighting to the very last swing of the sword, it's what they did. It's what they did all this for. Like, and she doesn't get it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it should be obvious. If she's really a swordswoman, she
has been since childhood. Like, this is literally something she's been doing since she could hold a sword.
Well, for Christ's sake, Sword Art Online got this right, and that's the ultimate. Even though I'm an SAO fan, that's the ultimate This is SAO got this right and you didn't. That's the problem. But now it's time for
obviously,
best girl.
and this brings us to best girl, sort of.
Student council president.
The student council president. The student council president, or Todo Toka, is, so I've just said in the opposite way that Peter said every other name, so I'm going to say Toka Todo. She is the student council president. She's from an orphan background. She was adopted and is now the student president. She helped her fellow classmates and she's now a really, really powerful swordsman.
Yeah, she is insane. Like, flat out insane. And that's what's really good about her as a character, right? Your first introduction to her is the student council president. Because you do meet the student council. We won't go through all of them. They're the student council. You've seen them in every shonen anime which has a student council. They're a group of badasses in a battle show, and they're a group of badasses here. Mm-hmm. But Toka Todo is, she is one of the 4 strongest student knights in Japan, and she's that typical thing of when she takes her glasses off, she is now God mode.
Yep.
She is able to manipulate lightning. Her sword is damn near unstoppable.
There was an interesting discussion about the power system in this where it was basically that, like, if your eyes are worse, your ability is stronger.
Yeah, because of its, like, manipulation of currents and lightning and...
Yeah, which is really interesting. So basically she's good at it because she's blind, basically.
Yeah, like, yeah, because her eyes are no longer working properly, her other senses are heightened, and so she can react faster. And so when she takes her glasses off, it means she's getting serious. And she's a badass, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason she's best girl is, as a character, she is just nice. She cares about everyone. She's student council president for a reason. She volunteers as an orphanage because that's where she came from. She looks after everybody under her charge. She protects everyone. If there's a problem, she comes to the rescue. She's just a genuinely stand-up person. And in the final fight of this series, she is the opponent to Iki to settle the show once and for all. And she could easily win this fight by backing off and by just dodging and playing keep away against him. But no, she chooses to fight him straight up, right? Because that's the way it's done. That's the honorable way to do things. Yep. And of course, the hero wins because he's going to have to, but
she could have easily... the whole show's fucked.
Yeah, but like, she could have derailed everything, but it's just, she's too good of a person, right?
Yep.
And that's just it. Other than that, there's really no other characters of note besides the villains and so forth, and they're villains of the week.
Very much villains of the week. The longest running villain in the show is what's his name? The shithead. Akaza Mamoru, who is a, how do I say this? Piece of shit. He's from the branch family of Iki's family, and he's seeking to sort of suck up to them and get them on side.
The other one is Shizuya Kirihara.
And that's is that the dude from with the bow?
Yep, that's the dude with the bow.
He literally lasts what, 2 episodes?
I think he appears in the first one, and the second one, and then
that's it.
Beaten in the third one.
Fourth one. It's the 4th one he gets beaten in, right? Because
so it's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that he appears in, right?
Yeah, and I think he appears in the background of the first episode, but he doesn't actually have any spoken lines, so he may as well not be there.
Yeah, but the funniest parallel between this with this guy is, his name is Shizuya Kirihara, another Kiri personality for the voice actor Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, aka Kazuto Kirigaya, Kirito, the Black Swordsman. The man can't get away from being called Kiri something, can he? Which actually, that's a good segue. Let's talk about the voice cast for this show. Because holy shit!
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy hitters here.
Fuck is up. Like, this is another one where a trash tier anime gets an insane voice cast. So let's talk about the voice cast. So, Iki, main character for Be Still Ivy's Fluttering Heart. Notable roles: Diamond No Ace.
Based.
Agent Saramura, right?
Saramura is a legend. He's not Todoroki, but he's still pretty good.
Yep. and an anime, the near one. Actually, I would actually say that of all the anime I've ever watched, this is one that's probably nearest and dearest to my heart. It's not my favorite, but it's the one where I touch my heart and go, good times. And it's getting season 2!
That's
he
right.
He plays Sadao Mao in The Devil is a Part-Timer. And
hell yeah.
Yeah. He's also Keiji in Haikyuu.
Base.
He's in Genshin Impact as Bennett. He's also Marco in Attack on Titan. He's in Black Clover, and he's Gyatoro in Demon Slayer.
More importantly, he's in Yamada-kun as Yamada himself.
Yeah, and he's also been.
We could spend a year listing off these characters. There's a shitload on this list. This
Like-
dude is a
like-
high-profile voice actor.
He's in Log Horizon. He's in SAO. He's Ryota Watari in Your Lie in April. He's Yuma in fucking Assassination Classroom. He's in Gatchaman Crowds. He's in Knights of Sidonia. This man is huge.
We've got I'm gonna interrupt you here, otherwise we're gonna be here forever. We've got next up on the list of characters is Stella's voice actor. Do you know what Stella's voice actor is best known for?
Give us the list.
Thorfinn.
Fucking Thorfinn.
Fucking Thorfinn. Fucking Thorfinn. Except she does the young Thorfinn specifically.
Yep, she does young Thorfinn. She also does
Bruno from JoJo's, Moriarty from Moriarty. She does Ayame from Shimoneta.
She does Ikumi Mito. She does Mikumi from Food Wars. She's in Saloniki.
Most importantly, this brings us to the voice actor for Shizuku, who is voice acted by none other than Naoto Yama, which means, that's right, folks, it's another fucking character who has not won the romance in her name. This woman's characters, she cannot voice act. She's voice acted one character that has won a harem, and that's in Nisekoi. In
She's crazy. She's crazy because she's Chiho in Devils in a Part-Timer. She's Yui in My Teen Romantic Comedy. She's Yukiho in Love Live. What else? Yeah, you're right. She hasn't won. She's Chitoge in Nisekoi. Man, she actually hasn't won any of these romance battles, has she?
Nope. She's only won in Nisekoi.
Yeah.
In Origairu, she lost because she was Yui Gahama. In Kanokari, she's gonna lose because she's Ruka Sarashina. In let's see what else we got. Goblin Slayer, she's Elf, definitely gonna lose in that one.
She plays Moriarty.
She plays Lele Lalalina from Gate.
What else she plays? She plays Katie in Carol on Tuesday. She played
Claudia from Astro Square, and she definitely lost that one as well. And I think that's far enough down the list of people who she's played who lose. She's also in the upcoming series. I believe she's going to be a voice actor in Cuckoo's Fiancé.
Yeah, and there's the next one. Then there is Alice's voice actor.
Yeah, she's a Segawa Hero from Cuckoo's Fiancé as well, and she's definitely going to lose that one.
Alice's voice actor is I'm just looking at this they have been a bit part in pretty much every major series that's ever been there. I'm trying to find a main role. Kuramachi Mochi Yuichi is in Assassination Classroom. Yuichi in Ace of the Diamond.
Based.
Asterisk War.
I would just continue to say based every time an Ace of the Diamond character comes up.
Yeah, Alice wins. Aiden Field in Violet Evergarden. If you have a role in Violet Evergarden, you already win. And then, you have Ayase, which has Yu Kobayashi. Yu Kobayashi? What the shit? Look at this. Look at how many credits does...
So, the point we're trying to make here is that these are very high-profile voice actors in a very weirdly average show.
You have Ruka from Steins Gate in this. You've got There are so many main characters. Sasha from fucking Attack on Titan. Like, wait, Sasha and Ruka's voice actress? Is that... Wow. God damn, that's a character shift.
Yeah.
God damn. Also Sandel in To Your Eternity. God, I'm still hurt by that anime. That's still makes me cry. I've got COVID, but I'm not only.
You haven't even gotten up to, like, you never watched that far into the show, right? You only watched the first few episodes.
I watched up to like episode 7 or 8, I think. Like,
did you get through the Fire Breather arc then?
Not yet. No.
Then no. Yeah, no, you haven't seen true suffering until you've finished the fire breathing arc.
But yeah, that's right. Ivy's right to cut me off there. Long story short, the voice cast here is god tier.
I know full well that if we get into this for sure, like, we'll be here for a year because these voice actors are quite high profile.
And the English ones are just as good.
And look, I will actually counter by saying I don't think the voice actors were doing their best work here. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. But it does definitely not feel like the strongest work.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, agreed. They were doing a very good job. They were doing a good job. Like, was it the greatest? No, but like,
there were some really good moments of voice acting. But yeah, it definitely did feel like, oh, we're doing this to get the paycheck, right?
Yeah, but to be fair, they did the same thing that a lot of actors do, where they look at the show and they're like, oh god, this is gonna flop, and so they go, all right, I'll show up for the paycheck, I'll do my job, right? And then, spoiler alert, it's actually really good. So yeah, how long have we been going? We must be going for like an hour and a half or something now.
We are at an hour and 12, so we're doing pretty good.
In which case, we should sort of start wrapping up, I reckon. So what about...
let's quickly just wrap up that last arc of the show, because I think it's actually probably the most interesting part of the show, bar the Senpai arc, and I think it's worth talking about. So basically, near the end of the show, somebody snaps a photo of Stella and Ikki kissing in public. And... Yep. This is a big deal because, naturally, she's a fucking princess and she's canoodling with some Japanese boy. From a disgraced Japanese boy, no less.
Which means there is doom and gloom afoot.
So everything hits the fan. His family recalls him and starts holding this weird internal trail of him to see if he actually did anything lewd with Stella, and he, holds out. And it's quite clear here that he's like being beaten, abused, etc. Right? Like, that's pretty. The subtext is pretty clear, and like it's a straight text. Like, the dude looks like shit. And when I said that this is probably the most interesting part of the show, bar the Senpai arc, which was like quite nuanced, well, not nuanced, but like interesting. It's because seeing the art shifts radically here. Up until now, it's just a standard sort of, art style, right? Like, characters, blah, 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 that sort of thing, right?
Yep, pretty much. It was like, your standard harem anime fare. Like, not fantastic. Like, the animation in this show, in the fight scenes, is incredible. But the rest of the time, it's just sort of there. And same with the art style. It's a colorful battle harem anime.
It works well, but that's about it. Like, it's just present.
Like, the only real art standouts I can think of is when one of the characters we didn't talk about, like the short girl who's actually 30 to 40 years old, her character, where she does gag cutaways by like replacing herself with a doll.
Yeah.
Like, that's really the only art quirk I can see. The rest of the time, it's
pretty standard animation.
And then all of a sudden, this show goes full noir, like straight out the gate.
So the color bleeds out of the show, and it's been hinted at before that when Hiki, oh my god, I'm thinking of we're talking about Origairu enough that like now my brain is like Hikigaya. No, Ikki is. When the way Ikki's ability works is that he removes his certain senses and abilities in order to boost himself. Yep.
And yeah, he's sort of struggling, and then he keeps getting the shit kicked out of him the whole time, basically.
Yeah. And so he's winning his fights because he keeps holding his like qualifier fights in this like weird lockup place. But he is like getting progressively like more fatigued because he's not being fed properly and he's looking emaciated, etc. Right? And it's quite interesting to watch him, like, the colors have bled out. So it's literally only his eyes, which are, I believe, animated as blue.
Yep.
And his shoes, which are also colored blue.
Yep.
So basically, yeah, and the way that this next episode is done, he basically goes into a meeting with his father, and for the first time in that episode, the color starts to return. Also, I should point out that there's this really funny, shitty, they put like a film grain filter over the top, and it looks really kind of corny, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Yeah, it's really goofy.
But, so he goes into this meeting with his father, and like, he thinks for the first time, his father is going to like acknowledge him, right? And his father does acknowledge him, only to immediately crush the fuck out of his spirit by being like, no, we have to cry, like, fuck you. You are just an example. You are just an outlier. You're not the default sort of thing, right? And so they continue to put him through the ringer. He's now like, he's like losing his will to keep going because, you know, he's been crushed by his dad. And finally, as the final fuck you, on the day of his final fight against the student council president, they basically drive him and just kick him out of the car. So he's basically just abandoned near the, like, miles away from the arena and is expected to run there to compete. And if he doesn't get there on time, he'll be disqualified and thus he'll have to break up with Stella.
Yep, pretty much.
Then for the final fight, we get him facing off with, as we mentioned, a very quick fight with Toka, where they both basically admit that they have to beat this in one. There's no point drawing this out because both of them are strong enough that that would be a bad idea, right?
Yeah.
So she decides she's going to do it in one blow. Ikki decides that instead of doing his usual thing, which gives him about a minute of like super speed, he's going to cut out every possible function of his body in order to be as powerful as possible for a single blow. Just 1 second of power, right?
Yeah.
And as he does, all of the color bleeds out of the show again. And blood starts like pooling out of his fucking arms, bleeding from the eyes, bleeding from the arms. And him and Toka slash at each other, very classic samurai style, only for one sword to break, and it's Toka's sword, and he's left standing. This is really well done. So many of these like power fantasy shows are like, oh no, we have to like, it gets bigger and bigger, right? Like, oh, he gets more abilities, blah, 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 blah. And that's, I like that this works within the mechanics of his pre-existing ability. I think it's more interesting.
Yeah, and he doesn't unlock the ability to go even further beyond and all that sort of shit.
Mm-hmm. Which does happen later on in the manga novel, but like, it's just like, yeah, a short-term thing. Anyway.
But it's not the greatest part about this scene. The greatest part is that he proposes to a princess in
front of the world.
And she said, and the cameras pan over to her and she says yes.
Yes. And
then the
also the arc villain runs out in an attempt to attack Hickey while he's like weak, and Stella just sort of like backhands him and he just flies away.
And they like kiss in front of everybody, and it's like confirmed, yep, they are like, the princess is going to marry the worst guy in the whole school, and it turns out he's actually the best guy in the whole school because he wins. And so yeah, also you get to meet all the other tournament winners, and it's like, because there's all a bunch of, because this isn't the actual tournament, by the way. The actual tournament
is just the school selection tournament.
And can we just mention for the fact that after all of this shit has been going down, when you finally get the school's team together, you've got a couple of guys that you've not met before or whatever, and then you just have Alice casually standing there. Like, she, like, even though she's only been a bit part of like helping out where shit got serious, you see when they dissolve a hostage resolve a hostage situation.
Dissolve a hostage situation might be quite dangerous.
It's actually probably a more accurate term given what they do to those poor bastards. But yeah, long story short, when the one time you get to see Alice fight, she is like clearly the most powerful person there, right? And it's wild. So you go through this whole show. She's only shows up once and then disappears again. And she appears as the advice or the caregiver throughout the whole show, and the shoulder to cry on, and the rock, and the wise person. And then right at the end of the show,
you find out that Alice has just secretly been kicking so much ass this whole time off camera. She has been slaying. She is Yas Queening her way through the entire lineup. And she just appears at the end like, oh, I'm in the championship too. Perfectly sets up a season 2, which we didn't get.
We never got.
And I'm upset. And so that leads us to what? Okay, let's just do the quick obligatory. As we were saying, fight animation, god tier, everything else.
Pretty great. Yeah. Even from me, I have to say the fight animation here, pretty good. Pretty good.
Everything else, though, it's just there, I guess. It works. Like, you've got the... Like, it's a well-made anime. Like, it's nothing... It's not like Demon Slayer Ufotable, like, oh god, my eyes are having an orgasm. No, it's literally... The fight scenes are cool. The day-to-day stuff is serviceable. Everything is great. Right?
Yeah, it's like... This is a show we can comfortably say it works. Like, it just does. It's fun. You can just sit here and watch it. We watched it in literally in the space of 24 hours.
It's just fun watch.
Yeah.
The music...
It's there. The opening's pretty cool.
The opening's good.
Yeah. Also, props to the opening for... So, okay, so as we've all watched enough anime, we've all seen an opening that spoils the ending before. What I love about how the opening for this spoils the ending is it spoils the art style, not the actual fight. It spoils two things. It spoils the fact that Ikki ends the fight by raising a fist covered in blood, and the art style, the black, white, and black, right? Which, by the way, I want an anime that does use like that color palette more. I think that it would work really well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it really would work well.
Yeah, like you could do like a cool there's manga out there that are begging, I say, for an adaptation that could use that sort of palette. So let's give our ratings, I guess.
Yep.
Are you prepared, or do you want me to take the lead on this one?
All right. Okay. So, a Chivalry of a Failed Knight.
Our final ratings.
I had a lot of fun with this show. It was incredibly fun to watch. It was entertaining. The music was okay. The animation for the fights was great. This show lives and dies on its characters. I don't really have anything profound to say, and other than, this show just lives and dies on its characters. It just really just lives and dies on its characters. It goes on, and all I've got to say is, like, it's worth your time. I don't really have anything profound to say. You've seen a story like this a million times before. You've seen characters like this a million times before. The difference is, are you able and happy to watch characters like this again? And I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ecchi is fantastic too. Like, the fan service, good. So if you want to watch it for that, awesome. Absolutely
probably get the Blu-rays for that one. I would suggest.
Probably get the Blu-rays. Get the Blu-rays on that. I think it's probably worthwhile to get the Blu-rays on that. So yeah, 100%. But likewise, I do have to say this: because of all of those factors, aside from a few standout moments, it's not very memorable.
Yeah,
it's not very iconic. It shows up here and there. You think it's a memory of a good day you had 5 years ago, and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I think probably the best standout moment is the ending fight and the confession. I think pretty much everything else will fade into the background. Oh,
besides when they meet, because it's still one of the funniest moments.
That as well. Probably for me personally, the senpai moment, the senpai fight is also memorable just because I really like her fight style. The flicking the katana hilt is so cool.
Yeah, I will say, because of that lack of memorability. That's the word I was looking for. I'm docking a couple points for that, and I'm docking 1 point for that, and I'm docking another point for it simply being the case of
You're docking a point because they didn't make season 2.
Yeah, that, and it's a harem action show. Like, I can watch a million other ones like this.
Yeah.
And they'll be just as good. Better? Jury's out. Like, I'd personally rate High School of the Dead over this. Because I think it achieves the same effect, just a bit better and a bit more fun. But at the same time, it's still a worthy goal. So for me, Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, Chivalry of a Failed Knight is a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to give this a 62 for the story. I'm going to give it a 68 for the characters. I'm going to give the visuals a 71, and my overall enjoyment a 74, which brings its ranking. I promise. This what. My overall score is a 69.
Nine.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
All right.
I know.
In case any of you are wondering why the voice quality has suddenly changed, it is because Australian internet has struck again. And so I am using my Wi-Fi hotspot on my phone to communicate with all of you. In the past, this is me in the past now, of course. But yes, yeah, gotta love the NBN. Thank you, Malcolm Turnbull. Your contributions were appreciated. And Tony Abbott. Nice work, dickheads. Anyway, it is now time to roll the next show. And I think it's my turn, isn't it? And I can. So just give me a second.
Wait, I think isn't it my turn? No, we both rolled on to get this episode, didn't we?
Yep. So it's my time to shine, ladies and gentlemen. And we roll. Oh.
What did we roll?
Oh ho ho. Released on the 30th of September 2004 with an average score of 7.15 with 26 episodes. The anime we are watching is My Hime. 13 girls, each with the ability to materialize elements and summon metallic guardians, called children or childs, have been brought to Fuka Academy to battle mysterious creatures called orphans, each with a personality and background. They must decide who they truly care about and why they fight. Ladies and gentlemen.
Fucking A. This has very positive reviews.
Yep. It is an old school, early 2000.
Fuck yeah.
2000.
Fuck yeah.
We have finally rolled an old school anime. Its tags are action, comedy, drama, fantasy, magic, mecha, romance, school, and yuri. Wow.
What a combo.
It's all like...
A wombo combo, if you will.
I'm kind of keen, because 30th of September 2004, we were 10.
You were 10, I was 9.
We were kids.
Wait, no. Yeah, I was 9. We were babies.
Like, we were little kids. We were little kids.
We little lads.
It looked too.
It aired in fall 2004. What else? That's the same season as Beck, Major Season 1 based. Gankutsu, also good. Yakitate, very good. School Rumble, and Bleach.
Holy shit.
And Blackjack, and Genshiken, and Gakuen Ellis. Man, that was a crazy fucking season. What the hell?
Someone was in the water that time. Holy God.
Alright. In that case, we are going to ollie out, folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out a way to cope with like just my phone's internet, but we'll see how that goes.
We will see you on the flip side. Until then,
have fun.
May your anime not suck, and may your water be clean.
Don't catch the Rona, whatever you do. It's not. It's not. Situation decidedly not Josu.
Decidedly un-Josu.
When the whole you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting.